Hey people, what's up? Welcome back to another video on YT News. Here are Dinesh D'Souza's top 5 best moments. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming videos. Alright, now let's begin. Number 5. Setting the entitled College SJW Straight. It is not unusual for the far-right Indian American political commentator to address the college students and answer curious questions. In one instance, when the Q&A session started, an entitled college student rose from her seat and demanded answers from Dinesh on women's rights. According to her, since 2012, there have been hundreds of bills that have been passed against the women living in the country by making access to health facilities hard for them. The College SJW just wanted to know why there is no constitutional right that covers the expenses of contraceptives and abortions. Dinesh broke down her question and explained why he thinks it is not a constitutional right. Read the Constitution, squeeze lemon juice on top of it, hold it upside down on your head, and it still won't have it. He explains with examples of freedom of speech and freedom to have a gun or follow a religion, and said even if it was a bill, why must contraceptives and abortion be subsidized when the government is not paying for anyone's gun or building churches? He asked very solemnly from the SJW what's so special about women to get their rights through the money of hardworking taxpayers.
The hundreds, if not thousands, of bills passed by officials since 2011 that have policed the woman's body and limited female access to contraceptives and to abortion.
We talk about birth control and abortion. Let's set aside for one moment the debate about whether or not abortion is a constitutional right. I would submit that it is not. You can read the Constitution, squeeze lemon juice on it, hold it upside down, it's just not in there. But let's assume it was. Let's assume it was sort of invisibly there as part of the Bill of Rights. Right up there with free speech and right up there with the right to religion and the right to assembly and so on. Here's my question to you. Why should the abortion right be subsidized when none of our other fundamental rights are?
Number 4. The dilemma of sharing a cheese bologna sandwich. This is one of the funniest analogies to explain socialism under Barack Obama's presidency. To explain the ridiculousness of it, Dinesh went into an elaborative example. He starts by explaining if he was strolling down the ocean with his favorite cheese bologna sandwich, and a homeless person comes to him and asks for half of a sandwich, he might give it to him if he's feeling generous that day, and the transaction would be smooth and even virtuous between two people, independent of outside factors. But then what if he's not feeling all that generous and refuses to give him a sandwich? Technically, he is not being evil, just not very generous. But being under Obama's presidency, he explains, is like him coming galloping on a white horse and putting a gun to his head, making him give him half of the sandwich. The generous transition is now nothing but a forceful action in which the other party also feels entitled over the sandwich, then being grateful. The analogy is so descriptive that it even makes sense to the most radical socialist.
So let's imagine I'm walking on the riverbank or on the beach, and I have a sandwich. I made it. It's my favorite bologna and cheese sandwich. And I'm walking around getting ready just to whip it out and uncork it and start eating it. When a guy comes up to me and he goes, "Hey man, I'm really hungry. Give me half your sandwich." And so I do. I give him half a sandwich. Now, I would say that this is actually a very virtuous transaction. Why? Because first, I am a good guy. I shared my sandwich. I feel good about myself, and rightly so. And the person who gets the sandwich is a recipient of a good deed, and so they feel a sense of gratitude and a sense of obligation, and maybe later if they have a sandwich, they'll share with some other guy.
Number 3. Called a girl calling him fascist a fascist. There are not many times when you see Dinesh D'Souza losing his calm while giving a speech in a room full of speakers. Some of the college students decided to boo him instead of taking into account any of his words. On one of his college campus drives, some of the left students rose from their seats to yell at him and call his theories fascist. At first, Dinesh tried to combat their verbal advances by giving adequately sound reasoning. But there came a point where in anger, he screamed at the girl calling him a fascist. He drew parallels between what they are doing to the fascists in Italy and Germany. He even asked the girl who was screaming How is he a fascist when he is a non-violent immigrant and has absolutely nothing on him to hurt anyone?
No, don't shout at me. I'm defending fascism. No, I'm exposing you as a fascist. Because do you realize, I'll tell you how. You asked me a question. Hold on. Are you familiar with the black shirts in Italy or the brown shirts in Germany? Do you realize that they would go to campuses, goons, and would stand in the back of the room, and when somebody tried to make an intelligent presentation and answer questions, they would shout them down, yell at them, try to intimidate them, and count as success if they could get the event canceled and the speaker threatened. But see, the problem is, sometimes you get speakers like me who are not scared of people like you.
Number 2, explains different meanings of capitalism. Dinesh, like anybody else, is aware that some college students are fueled by the fire of socialism and understanding capitalism as their sole enemy. So instead of getting annoyed, he breaks it down for a college student who called the American economy capitalizing from slavery. Dinesh gives some examples of socialists who died as billionaires and explained that making a profit is not the agenda of capitalists or the only way of seeing capitalism. He draws a picture of a situation where a company is charging you $1 for an hour. Now it is exploitative, but rejecting their offer is a choice you have. It's a better alternative of being able to choose than have to wear cuffs and chains and do someone's work. He also gave the example of what capitalism meant to Abraham Lincoln to explain that capitalism is just a system that works in a certain way, making sure that everyone gains advantage from it.
Pursuit of profit, which has continued on since then through the Jim Crow eras, since the establishment of private prisons, and it's happening to this day. It hasn't changed. It's been capitalism since this country has been founded, and that capitalism is rooted in the slavery of this country.
The dictator of Venezuela, Maduro, right? When he died, he was a billionaire. So he was obviously in pursuit of profit. He was a socialist who was looting the country for himself. Was he a capitalist because he cared about profit? No, because capitalism is not just about caring about profit. Capitalism is about a certain way of going about business that actually mutually enriches all the parties involved. Otherwise, they don't do the transaction. If I go to apply for a job at a company, and let's just say they offer to pay me $1 an hour, right? And let's just say that I say, that's scandalous, that's slavery wages. If I don't... Very good question, which is if Nazism and communism are logical beliefs. But they've been fighting for centuries. Why? Competitions over territory and power and so on. Remember that Hitler was a national socialist. The reason that Hitler hated the communists was not because they were socialists. He liked that part about it. What he didn't like is that they were taking their orders from Moscow. He saw them as traitors to Germany. So Hitler's priority was socialism in Germany. Now remember that Hitler, who went to war with Stalin, was allied with Stalin. So on the foreign policy domain, Hitler was perfectly happy to sign the Hitler-Stalin Pact and then violate it for reasons of national interest. So the bottom line of it is the fact that Germany and the Soviet Union went to war in no way refutes the idea that progressivism, communism, and fascism were all three sister movements. Very good question, which is if Nazism and communism are both leftist, how come they went to war? First of all, it's important to realize that ideologies that are very close to each other frequently do go to war. The Catholics and the Protestants, the Shia and the Sunni. The Shia and the Sunni are both in the House of Islam. They actually agree on 99% of theological beliefs, but they've been fighting for centuries. Why? Competitions over territory and power and so on. Remember that Hitler was a national socialist. The reason that Hitler hated the communists was not because they were socialists. He liked that part about it.
Well, this brings us to the end of our video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't liked the video yet, it's never too late. Give it a thumbs up, people. We will see you soon in another video. Until then, take care and goodbye.